That PlayStation logo.
It's good.
The nostalgia.
It's a good logo, man. I feel like recent consoles don't have as good startup logos.
No, and look at this. Like, Naughty Dog's logo opening, like, cinematic was pretty fun.
I mean, that's...
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad mascot, let's say. But you know, it's Naughty Dog's. I mean, this is the game that made that studio. I think they did stuff before this, but
They
still,
did a few games before that.
Well, I think we should probably introduce ourselves
Yeah,
first.
I think so. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our commentary of the first Crash Bandicoot game. I'm Will.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Daniel.
And this opening cutscene that we're seeing here actually isn't part of the game per se. You need to leave the menu screen up for about 20 seconds before this shows up. If you go straight into the game, it doesn't play.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I don't remember any of that.
Me either.
Like,
Yeah, it's part. Yeah, it's part. It's a neat little cutscene. It introduces the Evolvo Ray that Cortex and Brio built when they were a team, and it also teases the animals that they fused together. And Crash was supposed to be their leader.
wait, Crash is a fusion of what and what? A guy and a Bandicoot?
A pair of jeans and a Bandicoot. Crash was supposed. No, I think Crash was just strictly a Bandicoot. They weren't able to fuse him. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what they were planning to fuse him with, but I do know that they wanted to make Crash like the head honcho to lead the rest of the fused animals to world domination.
So, okay, Will, you're gonna have to just, I don't know, explain the plot of this game, because, I mean, I played Crash Bandicoot when I was a kid, and I admittedly don't really remember much of it. In fact, like, honestly, I played the first 3. I don't really remember much of them except for, like, Crash Team Racing, and I was more of, like, a Spyro guy, so, yeah, could you explain, like, the plot?
Oh, Spyro's great too. But for Crash, yeah, basically what we saw in that opening cutscene, Crash manages to escape the clutches of Cortex and Brio, but they still have who we saw there. Her name is Tana, the female Bandicoot, who is based on Pamela Anderson, I believe. I believe that's confirmed. And yeah, and Crash needs to go and save her so that she can break up with him in the next game. Because that's
And
life.
she became cool, right? Like, she became not a damsel, right?
No, she's pretty much a damsel in distress, and then in Crash Team Racing, she gets promoted to showgirl.
Oh.
And that's about that. But yeah, Tana gets bumped out of the Crash series and gets replaced with Coco Bandicoot, who's Crash's
Oh,
sister.
that's who I'm thinking.
I remember her.
Yeah, and
Coco's cool,
Coco's
right?
cool. Coco's she's cool. She's cool people.
She's got a motorcycle and stuff.
Yeah, and she rides tigers like nobody's business. It's great.
Yeah.
Tana gets booted out of the series because a lot of parents complained that she was hypersexualized in this game, and they just weren't gonna have their kids play a game with a character like that. So
You know what? For a game about a bandicoot with magic powers that can jump a bunch and who wears jeans, I can understand that concern.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure, it's funny though, because I'm pretty sure, like, you know, the kids kind of don't care, they're just sort of playing it.
I
Yeah.
think that's also the reason why, like, you know, the soccer moms and dads out there complain about it, because probably the kids didn't really know better at that age. Yeah.
I know I didn't.
So, we're here with Crash Bandicoot. I haven't played this game in a very long time. I thought I knew what the first level of this game was, but now I'm realizing it's the first level of Crash Bandicoot Warped that I know. This is completely unfamiliar to me, other than it looks exactly like what a Crash Bandicoot game looks like. And you know what? This game looks all right so far. Like, I'm noticing how satisfying picking up those, I mean, what are they? Are they peaches? Are they mangoes?
They're Wumpa fruit.
I don't really,
I'm sorry, they're what?
they're what?
Wumpa fruit.
Wumpa fruit?
Wumpa fruit.
Is that an actual
It's
fruit,
not
or is that just like...
It's not an actual fruit. It's a fruit that they came up with for this game.
Sure.
But since the beginning of time, people have been questioning, is that a real fruit or not?
They've got to build the universe, man.
Like, it looks like, you know, it looks like one of, like, I don't know what, like one of those, like, really weird colored apples, but not really.
Like a Macintosh apple?
Is
Or
that what you call those kind of apples?
Maybe it's a fusion between an apple and a peach, and actually that
It
sounds
looks
pretty
great
good.
no matter what. I could dig into a Wumpa fruit right now and probably feel pretty good about it.
I could probably make a Wumpa pie and be content.
Yeah, sounds great.
What the Mario is going on right now? Because you're killing like piranha plants, monkeys, turtles.
Okay, they're in my way. I'm gonna kill them. They're in Crash's way.
Yeah, he's Giant Mario right now.
Yeah.
Anyways, this game, I'm actually surprised. I'm sort of expecting to see this game and be like, oh man, I thought this game was good. Turns out it's not. But this looks okay so far.
When you said, because before we started the recording, Dan, you said that you remember Crash not being a great game. Were you basing that off of your experiences with Crash Warped?
No, I don't remember it not being a great game. I just assumed that it wouldn't. I kind of figured, like, thinking about where platformers were at this era, and that Crash was kind of, it's the first 3D platformer other than something like garbage like Sonic 3D or whatever that I can really think of.
Okay, I'll let you have that one.
Sonic 3D is a terrible game.
It's a bad game.
Terrible.
It was a
wait,
bad idea.
which 3D?
Sorry,
3D
Sonic
Blast?
3D Blast
Yeah.
is what I'm getting.
Oh god, yeah, that game.
It's not as bad as Sonic Labyrinth, where they thought making Sonic slow would be a good idea, but it's still pretty bad.
Anyways,
Well, actually, wasn't that the main idea behind 3D Blast?
3D Blast
3D Blast is like isometric and it's a bad game. Anyways,
Yeah, I know, but yeah,
not
sorry, you were saying.
to delve into Sonic talk again, which apparently we can't record a single episode of doing without talking about it. It's platforming. This is kind of the first 3D platforming game I can think of. And it's a little rudimentary. It's definitely not like what Mario 64 did with the genre.
Wait, does this predate 64?
Yeah, this is a
yes.
PS1 game. I mean,
It's funny you mentioned 64 because this game, the head, I can't remember his name, but I think it was one of the head directors or producers at Naughty Dog at the time. He played Mario 64 and he complimented it, saying that Nintendo made a better game than he did. But Shigeru Miyamoto also played this game and was really inspired by it, particularly with the water graphics, and it's actually what inspired him to make to push forward water levels in Mario games.
that's interesting.
Da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da.
I mean, this is obvious, right? Like, this is obviously the homage to that.
I just don't get why doesn't Crash just jump to the side, Let the thing pass.
Well, because he can't. Why doesn't Mario have a 3D plane? Because he doesn't. Anyways, yeah, oh no.
I cleared that, okay? I cleared that damn boulder.
I was so confused. Like, wait, what?
No, I died. So the thing is, if you guys have noticed, at the end of each level, there's like you get taken to the screen where you're judged as to how well you did based on how many boxes you broke. If you die in a level, you won't get that screen. Like, if you want to get a gem, you have to clear the level without dying once, and you have to collect all the boxes, which, yes, is as tedious as it sounds.
That's rough.
Yeah.
But also, like, clicking the boxes is kind of satisfying. Like, they have a good breaking feel to them, and those Wamba fruit are super satisfying to pick up. They have good sound. They teleport to the screen nicely. They're chunky in a way that I find really satisfying.
This game has a lot of charm to it. Yeah, absolutely.
It does. Though that being said, though, I do find it a bit sort of bad design when you look at you have to jump to things in front of you which you cannot see until the last second.
No,
running towards the screen is a really weird thing for a platformer to do. It's really tough. Again, this is before Mario 64, right? So people were still trying to figure out what a 3D platformer even looks like and how it acts and what it does, and they're taking a crack at it and sort of doing what they can.
Yeah, that was one of their biggest sort of obstacles when making this game. They didn't even know how they were gonna design Crash to act or animate during that time. They just put a generic animal, I think, and called it the beta title for this game was Sonic's Ass Game. Because they just took a random animal and you were looking at its ass the entire time.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's what they called it.
Is that true?
Yeah, no, that's a true trivia fact. I'm just dropping all the trivia on this game on you guys today.
I seriously need to look that up.
Yeah, that's cool. It's interesting because Mario 64 gave this solution, which is basically like, oh, let the player look all around them and actually use the 3D space. Whereas Crash's solution to like what you do with 3D platformer is like, take the horizontal movement of Mario and platformers, of 2D platformers, and just make it vertical, which is like, it's interesting because it's sort of this weird like faux 3D, like it's 3D but you can't move everywhere. You're still limited to like essentially a single plane with a bit of direction and like of movement to the other plane, but not that much. You're sort of constrained to a vertical space, but like it's a really interesting approach to what to do with this sort of game before that sort of thing had been figured out.
Yeah, and it's like it's really kind of weird when you think about it because like I remember like even when I played these kinds of games that the perspective was just kind of weird. If you're not like the main one, not like the side scrolling one, but like the perspective is like it's not totally top down, but it kind of is.
Yeah, and it's super close up.
Yeah, and I mean it takes a little bit of getting used to. I guess it's funny because I guess us doing this is relevant because it was recently in like Uncharted 4, and that's what the big sort of revival of people talking about Crash is about right now.
Wait, are people talking about Crash now? Because I haven't seen any of that.
Oh, so basically, Uncharted 4 has a section where you get to play the boulder level from this game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, when Nathan Drake's kind of like, what do I do? I'm kind of like, yeah, I mean, I used to play this as a kid, but I'm looking at this now, I'm just like, I don't even know.
Right, and that's obviously a dig at it, right? I mean, it's a Naughty Dog game. They're digging at their old stuff.
Oh, it's arguably the best Crash thing we're gonna get in the next, like, decade. Actually, it's probably the best Crash thing we've gotten in the past decade.
What? Oh, yeah, that's true.
Or perhaps the only one.
Well, after what Naughty Dog sold off Crash, like, I mean, that series has not had any good days.
But I guess that's why I was sort of worried going into this, because it was like, man, it's one of those things where I was thinking about it and thinking like, were those games ever good? You know, it's very easy to remember these things with rose-colored glasses and not really think about them, and maybe you haven't played them in a while and you're thinking about like what they felt like as a kid and how great that is, and you know, that can sometimes be kind of shocking when you go back and you go like, oh, this is kind of bad, like we're doing right now with Rogue Squadron. Sort of looking back at it and being like, whew, we never realized how bad this game was.
Yep.
And it is kind of nice that, like, you know, this game is kind of simple. It's not the most interesting thing. It's a little bare bones, but like they had something that they were going for, and they pretty much mostly hit it. And it's kind of I don't know. It's encouraging, I guess. Not everything you liked as a kid is immediately garbage, which is nice to know.
So what we just saw was a boss.
Right, yeah.
That was Papu Papu. He's pretty much a joke of a boss. Good introductory, boss though, especially for this style, like what we talked about earlier, how this is sort of like a new style of game mechanics. That was a good sort of boss to introduce you to what a 3D boss, in a platforming game may function like. But you just bop him on the head 3 times and he goes down.
Sure.
Yeah, there's only like one boss I really remember from this franchise, and I'm not sure if it's in this one or the other ones. It was a dingo.
Oh, Dingo Dial.
Yeah, I think that was it, and I always remember him because like he had like this thing he would always say about burnt toast every time you fight him.
Oh, that sounds really familiar.
Dingo Dial made his debut in Crash Warped, so Dan, you probably have some memories of him.
Probably.
Yeah, so this game is pretty simple. Like it's sort of like the original Mario Brothers game in terms of like how this game is viewed in retrospect to the rest of the series. Like it's the most simple out of the series. There's no special moves that Crash has. It's literally run, jump, and spin.
Sure.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to ask. Oh yeah, Will, I have a question I need to ask you. I feel like it's an elephant in the room, and I need to know the answer.
Go for it.
Do you play any video games that are not platformers or Smash Brothers?
You know what, Dan? I pretty much don't. Like, my life is basically platformers all the way. I was thinking this the other night while continuing my test Let's Play of Ratchet and Clank. I'm like, oh, okay, well, here's a game. Oh, wait, no, it's still a platformer.
I mean, Ratchet and Clank is pretty shooty.
It's pretty shooty.
It's half a third-person shooter.
You could say the same thing Other M.
Yeah, like Other M, there's still platform. Like at its core, I think it's still like a platforming-esque game. But no, nope. That's my answer. I mean,
you just love running and jumping.
Yeah, man. It's you know
Can't get enough.
When Shovel Knight came out, that was like a platformer's dream. Like when that came, it's like, man, it's been so many years since we've had a good, solid classic platforming game come out, and that just like that was just such a satisfying experience. And I wish more games that came out were like that.
Have you played Rayman Origins?
I love Rayman Origins.
Yes.
I sort of want to do it for the channel, but
It's a long game though.
It's a long game, and there's no like, it's just a solid platformer. There wouldn't be too much to talk about, I think.
It doesn't really give like a defined sort of like, well, actually no, Legends sort of. I'm thinking more about, sorry, Origins sort of, but I think more Legends. Legends doesn't really have much of a defined ending.
Yeah, Legends is just sort of open-ended, but God, the platform, the level design is just, oh, it's on point.